fantastical, so unpredictable, here on the SNL Network.
Yes, hello everybody. That is right. Our first official podcast on the SNL Network. My name is Jon Schneider here with you on the SNL Network. So excited to talk about season 47 of Saturday Night Live. It is Monday, September 27th. It is the first official week of our SNL coverage. And we are live on YouTube right now at 8 p.m. Eastern. We have 3 panelists ready to talk through everything from the show. And we have people in the chat who are going to talk about it along with us. I am so excited. I can't wait to do this. Introducing our panelists joining us on our first official show of the season. First off, she joined us for Brooklyn Nine-Nine coverage and is now joining us for the first time on some SNL coverage. Introducing to the SNL community, Amanda Mitchell. Amanda, how are you?
I'm wonderful, John. How are you? I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, well, for those who don't know you, maybe they didn't get to watch the Brooklyn Nine-Nine stuff. Tell everybody about yourself and your love of Saturday Night Live.
Guys, I am a freelance beauty and pop culture writer. You can Google me. Pretty much, I'm the only Amanda Mitchell on the internet. I also have a podcast about America's Next Top Model called America's Next Top Best Friend. And I love SNL. I love everyone involved with everything. I recently showed someone Pop Star Never Stop, Never Stopping, and he literally goes, "Oh, this explains your entire personality." And I was like, yeah, I know. So long story short, I deeply love the show. I just finished the other 2, season 2. I thought it was fantastic. If you haven't watched it, go watch that. And yes, I'm very SNL adjacent right now, but I'm glad to be jumping deep in the waters right here with y'all.
Yeah, we're pulling you in right into the SNL coverage. I'm so excited. And also Andy Samberg for sure has way too much of an influence on my life as well. Joining us, back with us for his second season of SNL coverage is the great Bill Kenney. Bill, how are you?
Doing well, John. Glad to be starting season 2 and my 35th season of watching every episode live of SNL. Very, very excited to see what season 47 is going to bring us.
Yes, for sure. I mean, that was your thing when you said to me you wanted to podcast last year. You were like, I haven't missed an episode in 34 years. I was like, okay, well, we have to have you on then. So I'm so excited. I mean, if anybody has an SNL question, Bill is the guy to answer it. So really happy to have you on to talk through everything we're going to see from season 47. And then joining us for the first time on our SNL coverage on the SNL Network, it is the great Kaley Morrison. Kaley, how are you?
I am excellent. Happy to be here. Yeah. Should I introduce myself? Is that what's
that is sort of what we do here. So yeah, introducing Kaley Morrison. Kaley, tell us about yourself, your history of Saturday Night Live. I know you have been really loving the show and interested in potentially being on it one day. So it's kind of cool to have you on our podcast.
Yeah, well, thanks. I'm an actor and an improviser. I'm currently based in Durham, North Carolina. It's a little bit far away from Studio 8H, but hopefully maybe in the future. I don't know. I actually just completed a scholarship program through SNL and the Pit, which some of you may know is the People's Improv Theater in New York. Did it all virtual. Got to submit to SNL this year. They didn't call me, but yet, maybe in the future.
That's cool. I mean, look, when we started this thing, we were just like a few people who wanted to talk about Saturday Night Live. Who knows? Maybe one day will be a great launching pad for people to get onto the show. You never know. So really happy to have you, Kaley. If you're joining us in the chat, please make sure to say hi. Give us your thoughts on everything. Today was a crazy day. I woke up getting ready for this podcast, not really sure if we were going to get any information, and we got a lot of information. We're going to go over all of that. We're going to talk through the new cast members, the cast members who are departing us. What do we think of these first few hosts of the season? What are our expectations for season 47 and the overall themes? We're going to do some predictions as well, and that is all going to take place. That is on the menu for tonight as we begin our coverage of SNL. Before we do that, I do want to talk about the coverage that's going to be happening on the SNL Network. So if you're joining us, maybe you're joining us for the first time or you know exactly what we do, I want to talk to you guys about the coverage that we're going to be doing this particular season. This season, we're going to have our roundtables every single Monday. So after an episode, we have 2 different shows. One of them is going to be the roundtables on Monday. Join us every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, exactly at this time. Maybe it'll be 8:30, 9 o'clock, depending on who is available. But we're going to be live on YouTube talking through these episodes and really getting into detail. What were the major things that happened? What did that episode represent in the history of the show? Those things we're going to take a look at. Maybe you're like, I just want to hear what was funny, what was not funny, what worked, what didn't work. Well, then we also have that show for you. That show is going to take place at 1:10 or 1:15 in the morning on YouTube right after the episode ends. That's called the Hot Take Show. So you can join us right after those episodes live on YouTube, and we will go through everything. We'll have different panelists every single week on both of those shows. We're going to keep going with our By the Number shows, which are the statistics-based shows that we do, talking through all the different numbers and stats and records that could be broken this season. We're going to have one of those shows this week. That will be on Thursday, coming out for you guys. We have our superfan takeovers, which Bill is very much a part of. We're also going to have plenty of interviews with alumni. I'm really looking forward to that. We've been connecting with some people over the summer. They're going to be joining us throughout the season to talk through everything. And I will also show you guys, let me bring it up on screen. Again, we're doing this stuff live, so bear with me as we open up our weekly schedule and something else I'm very excited to talk about with all of you right before we get into all the SNL stuff. So let me bring that up on screen, and that is right here. Here we go. We're going to start with this. So this is our weekly schedule just for this week. Every week we'll post this on social media, so you'll get to see where to find our shows and when to find our shows. So like I said, we are live right now, Monday, September 27th for our season 47 preseason roundtable. Thursday, we are releasing that first preseason By the Number show. So make sure to check out that one if you want to know what numbers are important to watch for in season 47. And like I said, Saturday, October 2nd, we are live right after the premiere with Owen Wilson and Casey Musgraves. Bill, there's one more thing that I really want to share with everybody here, and I'm so excited to do it. I know you got to see it last night. We put this out on social media, and I'm very excited to share with everybody our new patron program. So I'm going to share the details of that with everybody right now, and that is up on screen. So let me show everybody our patron program. I'm really excited to do this, guys. When we first started, I didn't even think we would get to this point, but because of all your support and everybody watching our shows, we really feel like it's time to double down on everything that we were doing. And now we have a new opportunity to do that. So if you really love the coverage here at the SNL Network, consider joining the patron program. There's no obligation, but here's the difference between this patron program and maybe some others. Every single piece of coverage that you love about the SNL Network, you're going to continue to get. So you don't have to worry about that. If you're not going to become a patron, you're going to continue to get all of those shows in full. This is just to get some extra benefits for joining the SNL patronage. You can podcast with us, and Bill, Amanda, Kaley. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun podcasting about this season. If you want to podcast with us and talk through anything from this season of Saturday Night Live, we're going to be doing patron shows, patron feedback shows throughout the season. We'll also have exclusive news every single week. We post exclusive news about the upcoming SNL episodes on social media. We'll be sharing some of that news, some extra news, and that news first with our patrons. We're going to be, like I said, having conversations with SNL alumni. Patrons will get to call into those shows and be able to ask the alumni questions as part of interviews. And you can also join our community of patrons. We have a private Facebook group going right now where we're talking about these new cast members. And if you want to join the conversation, join us at patreon.com/the SNL Network. Okay. Enough about us. Let's talk through everything to do with Saturday Night Live. So, Amanda, first thing we got today was 3 new cast members. We have 2 cast members departing. Where do you want to start on everything that we saw today? Make sure to just unmute yourself so that we get to hear you.
I'm glad you gave me that second to like really think about. I don't know where to start. Okay.
What are you thinking? Tell me. Yeah.
I'm very sad to lose Beck Bennett. I'm very sad. I'm very happy to get Sarah Sherman, who is truly, if you thought Will Forte was weird, welcome Sarah Sherman, who is so bizarre and wonderful and hilarious in her own right. I'm excited that there are things happening, but I am very, very sad that my hunky daddy Beck Bennett is
okay, so
really
it's a great
about
jumping off
it.
point. Yeah, me too. Let's start with that because I wanted to see where the appetizer is going to come in. So we're going to start with the Beck Bennett departure. That's a big deal. That's something that nobody knew was happening. Beck was the last sketch we saw at the end of season 46 where he was playing Vin Diesel. I saw our friend Jillian Cedarholm tweeted out from the good nights of that episode, the Anya Taylor-Joy show, where I think it's 80 is pushing Beck out to the front. And look, did he know in May that he was leaving? We don't know. What do you think?
Boy, this hit like a punch to the gut. I mean, prepared ourselves mentally all summer for Kate, Cecily, 80, even Pete, and to have, he wasn't my hunky daddy, but he was amazing, and he was the everyman in these sketches, and it's such, and why him and not Kyle? Sorry, but I feel like Kyle has kind of run his course on the show. But Beck was still so much a part of everything that was going on. And it's just a really sad thing. And it makes me wonder also where our pre-tape's going to come from. He was a big part of that for a long time as well. So.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, Beck Bennett to me was personally probably my favorite cast member right now. I mean, he can make me laugh unlike anybody who's on the show right now. He was so great in all of those pre-tapes. We just did on Twitch last week. We did a best of season 46 special, and he was in so many of those sketches. It's hard to believe. I have Esteban in the chat asking about other cast members. So basically the news that we got today, so that I'll just, put this out there for anyone who didn't get to see it. We saw that two people were leaving the cast. Beck Bennett, who was around for 8 seasons, 2013 to 2021. He was actually in 10th place all time in sketches. He's tied with Steve Higgins, who is the producer. He does a lot of voiceover work, and Kristen Wiig. So when you think about Kristen Wiig's amazing SNL career, Beck Bennett, I mean, really just incredible stuff. And then we also lost Lauren Holt, who probably under different circumstances, but was only with us for 1 season. She appeared in 36 sketches last season. So, Kaley, any thoughts on Beck departing us?
Like Bill was saying, it was just complete shock. I mean, we've been hearing these rumors about all these other names, but Beck never, as far as I can recall, never came up in that list. And if I had to think of like a word for him in the last few years, he's just been a staple at SNL. Like, he can play a goof. He can play deadpan. When I think of him, I think of the pre-tapes. And gosh, I was really sad to see that. I was like, no. But hopefully he's off to things that he will enjoy and things that we'll get to enjoy watching him in.
Yeah, let's throw a little bit of a retirement party for Beck for a second. Let's talk about, Beck's time on the show. Bill, is there anything else that you can think of if you had to like sum up what Beck represented on SNL? Maybe somebody's, watching season 47 for the first time and they're like, oh, there's no more Beck Bennett. Like, who was Beck Bennett? What did he mean to the show? Would you say it is?
I mean, nothing particular as far as a sketch, but again, I think that he was, if you look through the history of the show, you have a Phil Hartman, you have, a Will Ferrell, and I think he was in that mold, but much more underappreciated than those guys, and I mean, he also did tremendous impressions that didn't always get a lot of credit, I mean, he did Putin, he did Pence. So who's going to fill those roles if they're needed as well? But yeah, I really think like on the male side of the show, he has been the glue of the show for a very long time. And I feel like I don't, even as much as we all love him and I haven't heard a bad word about him, I feel like he was underappreciated.
Right. I agree, because I also think that he came on SNL at such a weird time. He came on in season 39 where they added 6 new cast members. This is immediately after we lost Jason Sudeikis, Bill Hader, and Fred Armisen. And they were looking for anybody to try and find a way to replace. We had Brooks Wheelan, John Milheiser. It was just like a very random group of cast members came on, and most of them departed within a year. And we had Beck and Kyle. And Beck was really probably the all-star of the bunch. I mean, I know there's a lot of Kyle Mooney fans out there, but Beck was really the all-star representative from there. So it's interesting to see him being the one that leaves, considering we had cast members that came on before him that are obviously still there. So it's very, farewell to Beck. He did incredible work on SNL. So, guys, anyone else have anything on Lauren Holt? I know that she was only on for 1 season. Anyone? I mean, look, it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Kelly. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to give a shout out to like the 3 new cast members from last year, because they really got a raw deal with the pandemic, and like it was just a weird year, and I think they all did what they could. But it's, I mean, as we all know, those of us who like know the show and how it works, you really got to buddy up with the writers, and like if you're literally not allowed to get physically close to them, I can only imagine how much more difficult that makes getting into sketches.
Yeah, for sure. That is a huge factor, and that's something that we found out when we talked to people behind the scenes when we did some interviews last year. Is that the lack of interpersonal communication that was happening behind the scenes was really, really tough. And also, the thing is Lauren Holt was actually supposed to appear or be hired at the end of season 45, and because of the pandemic, because of those 3 at-home shows, she was actually only hired for the start of 46. So I wonder how the trajectory of her career potentially changed. It's really interesting that we'll look at down the road.
And I just want to say that, like, it's not a death knell to get fired after your first season. There are plenty of examples of celebrities who are thriving now who have done 1 season on SNL and get fired. So, like, Lauren Holt, good. You have it on your resume. Go off.
Yeah,
go get hired on some cute ABC sitcom. Like, thrilled for you.
Go Sarah Silverman, everybody.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so that was it. So we lost 2 cast members there. So then, you go from 20 down to 18, and now we added 3 cast members, and now we're back up to 21. And I just want to say, I'm going to make a promise to our listeners. I'm going to try and not complain about the cast size this season. I think I said at the end of last season, I'm just going to accept it. I'm just going to say that this is what it's going to be. What are you shaking your head about?
I don't promise that. I'm going to complain about the size of this cast. There are too many people in this cast. There are too many people. No.
Okay.
No. I love everyone involved, and I'm really upset about it because I want everyone to be involved and get their time in the sun, but they're not going to because there's too many people. So, yeah.
And that's my biggest problem with this as well. Like, they're talking about all these people who are going to show up occasionally and they're free to come and go as they please. That was okay for COVID for season 46. I don't understand why we're still doing this. Like, somewhere Jon Lovitz is screaming into the ether. Like, he was let go because he wanted to go make a movie and he was going to miss 4 or 5 shows. And now these people are just coming and going, and they may be gone for 6 episodes. They may come back for 2. Like, I don't understand. So I can't promise either.
Yeah, here's my thing. I totally get that point, and if that's what it ends up being, I will agree with you. I just don't know how true that is. Like, let's wait and see who's actually going to be there. Like, there was this whole thing that was like, Chris and Keenan were not going to be there for episode after episode. Well, you know what? Like, they flew back between New York and LA during the week. That's what what they decided. So I'm not so sure that that's going to be that. I think I was having a conversation with Andy Hoagland earlier today from SNL in Review, and I was just saying to him, I was like, I just think this is what SNL is from this point forward. Like, when I started last year at 46, I said, like, look, I just wish things would go back to the way they were during the SNL 30s, where there was 12 cast members and we got to know each of them, let alone when this series started with 7 cast members. But I think I just realized, like, look, as long as Lorne Michaels is running this thing, he wants there to be as many people as possible, because, that way we have contingencies. If somebody goes, there's somebody there to replace them. There's more people to handle more things. And I think the show is just produced in a way where they're happy to have more than 20 cast members, or around 20 cast members at this point. So if we just look at it from those eyes and just say, this is a show that will always have 20 cast members, let's try and evaluate the show based on that, as opposed to complaining about those cast size. That's my opinion. But of course, you may be an Amanda or Bill and complain about it, and I totally get that. So
I want to say I'm not mad at them for staying either. If they're I think they did a really good job last year with most of the cast members, getting them into a lot of stuff. Obviously, Melissa and Lauren are 2 of the notable exceptions, but we still saw the rise of Chloe and Ego and Chris. Like, so the possibility is there for these people to be in a lot of sketches. But it's just, is their mind there? And that's where my concern is. Keenan comes back, he's flying across the country, and he still kills it every week. Are we going to get that from Cecily and Adie and Kate? And that's my bigger concern.
Interesting. Okay, well, let's talk about these 3 new cast members. So the word in the SNL community was these 3 cast members were put out by a random Reddit user last week. So that was the big hype. The way these things usually work is, like, there is some leak in production and somebody tells somebody, and then they're like, I don't want to be responsible for this, but this is what it is. And this time it turns out to be true. So let's talk through these 3 new cast members and what we think. I'll bring up a picture of the first one. This is Mr. Let's just make sure I pronounce this correctly. This is Aristotle. Is it Atari or Athari? Does anybody know? All right. Well, we'll go with that. We'll call him Aristotle for today. We're obviously going to find out. Daryl Hammond will do the voice on Saturday night. We'll know for sure. So Aristotle is a part of an improv comedy podcast called This Is Americans Live. Obviously, he's going to be giving up that podcast, I guess, for a little bit while he gets to work on this stuff. He's part of a comedy quartet known as Goat Face, which was on a Comedy Central special in 2018. He is, I believe, of Middle Eastern descent. Chat, correct me if I'm wrong where he is from. He has directed several smaller projects. He's been in HBO's Silicon Valley. So really interesting choice for the hire. I'm excited to see, some more diversity on the show. That's always great. And I'm curious, what you guys think of the choice to bring in someone like Aristotle and where he fits into the cast. So Amanda, let me start with you. Thoughts on Aristotle?
That is one good looking man. I'm so sorry. I just deeply distracted. Wow, what a headshot. Iconic. Anyway, I'm very excited. Not otherwise, it's I looked up some of his stuff today. He has a really good resume. He's comes from good seed, and it seems like he's gonna do a good job. I would hope so. And I feel like, I hate to say it, he's gonna step into the Beck Bennett hot daddy, we need a straight man to be the hot guy in a scene, that kind of thing. I mean, there's plenty of Mikey Day kind of does that too, but you know what I mean? That same level. That's
Bill,
my opinion.
For sure. Bill, is that where you see him? You see him in those dad roles?
No, I think somebody else is going to get those. I think Alex is going to get a lot more of those. Fingers crossed that he gets some more of the daddy roles and things like that. But I'm excited about Aristotle.
A lot of daddy talk tonight.
There is. Aristotle, Goatface is hilarious. I believe it's still on Comedy Central's website. You can go back and look at it. He was a part of it with Hassan Minaj, who is hilarious as well. So, yeah, I mean, he's got great stand-up. I think there's a lot of good potential here for him, and it's good to see a little bit more diversity on a show that wasn't very diverse even 10 years ago. So,
yeah, that's definitely true. Kaley, what were your thoughts when you heard about this hiring of Aristotle?
Well, I'm not familiar with Aristotle's work. I have to agree with Amanda that those eyes are piercing and they are communicating something to me. Yeah, I have to hear him talk. I haven't heard him talk yet, so I wonder what the vibe I'll get from just hearing him speak and seeing him move. Because as of today, all I've seen is this photo. I'm going to be doing more research on him. Of course, we'll see him soon. But yeah, I saw when I first saw all the new hires, I saw all three pictures next to each other. And I, of course, started Googling all these people. And it was good to see that, he was, quote, according to his IMDb page, of Middle Eastern descent. I will say just, kind of a blanketed general statement. I was hoping for an even more diverse round of hiring. So I'm a little disappointed in that generally, but we'll see what happens, and hopefully, we'll get more diversity as time goes on.
Yeah, for sure. Do you guys want to see him in something? Here, I'll pull this up. I'll pull up a clip that we have. This was sent to us from one of our interns. So let me just bring this up on screen. This is, I believe, I don't know. Here we go. You guys can see that on screen? This is something called Casting Director Doggy Dog. Chat, let me know if there's anything going wrong with the audio issues as we play this for you guys. I believe we'll get to see Aristotle here. Can you guys hear that? No sound? All right, I'm gonna no sound. Okay, I will. We'll continue to talk through, but like we said, we wanted to see what he looked like on camera. So this is actually what he looks like on camera. I'll work on getting the sound going.
I don't think Amanda and Kaley need sound, so you can.
Yeah, at least we get to see what he looks like over here. So I'm very interested to see where his role is. Like I said, I mean, for me, this is a guy who I don't necessarily see him in the dad role in sketches. I think this is a guy who's going to bring something different. He obviously has that pretty boy style. to me, I'm really curious. This one is a little bit curious for me where he is going to fit with the current cast, because I do feel like the cast is so segmented between the people who were there from a long time ago and the people who are there now. And I do feel like these hirings, Aristotle, James, and Sarah, fit a lot more with potentially the Bowens and the Chloes and the Punkies. Like, I see this whole new cast developing that's very different from the previous cast. So if you guys can't hear this on screen, I'll take it off and we'll go on to the next one. But I just wanted you guys to get an idea of what he looked like over here. Okay, let's move on. Anyone else got anything on Aristotle? Or should we move on to the next one? Okay, so we have, here we go. Let me just share. All right, let's bring up Sarah Sherman. All right. So this is Sarah Sherman, otherwise known, we got her name as Sarah Squirm last week. Has anyone seen any of Sarah's work previously?
Yes, it's amazing.
Okay, so Bill, tell me about it.
She is just such a different voice, and you worry about what hopefully SNL doesn't stymie her voice, because she can be crude. She does a lot of bodily fluid humor, if you will, but she is hilarious. If you want to start watching something that she's in, she did a Sarah Vaccine YouTube, about 15 minutes long, hilarious. She also did a fake SNL audition tape about a year or two ago, which is only a couple minutes long, which is also very funny. She's just very offbeat, and I think that's something that we could really use on this show.
Wait, so that was fake, Bill?
Yes.
Okay, I did not know that. I don't know if the chat did too, but I found that on YouTube as well. I was doing some research on Sarah. I didn't realize that was look, I know that it's not like reality TV where people like send in audition tapes to get on the show as much. Like, you have to go get recruited. We did a whole podcast on how to get on Saturday Night Live a lot of times. But Kaley, as somebody who was like in a program, working towards Saturday Night Live, I did not realize that this YouTube audition was a fake SNL audition. Did you get a chance to see it?
I have not seen it. No.
Okay.
But
well,
now
give us your thoughts on Sarah. Yeah.
Me? Or
yeah, tell me your thoughts on Sarah. Yeah.
I don't. I'm not familiar with. I'm not familiar with any of these new people, but I'm excited and to hear that she's so different. I'm really curious because I think that could. I love people that take risks and maybe are off the beaten path, and I think that can either like go really well or it can blow up. And I just want to watch it either way. So, and of course, gotta love that mullet.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is I was saying earlier today, if you would have told me that Sarah Sherman was an SNL cast member, just based on pure look, Amanda, I see you shaking your head, I would say that Sarah Sherman was a cast member in 1987. You? What do you think, Amanda?
I love her. I love a mullet. I love a mullet on a woman. Miley Cyrus's mullet has given me everything for a very long time. She is so weird. I love an Adult Swim woman coming into this element. Because I hope they give her digital shorts and give her like the post midnight weird hour to just like do her thing, because when it pays off, it's going to pay off well. And she's the most exciting hire to me of all of the ones they were announced today, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's the tough thing. Like, we're talking about where these people are going to fit. I have no idea where Sarah's going to fit. I mean, it'll be very interesting to talk about. She grew up in Long Island. That's what I have here for some notes. Very, like you said, grotesque comedy style. So this is something that we haven't seen on Saturday Night Live that I could think of, but I know people are looking for a lot of different things for the show. I think that'll be exciting to see. She opened once for Eric Andre, so that is a good fact. Has hosted Hell Trap Nightmare variety shows at the Hideout. Paper Magazine says she's primarily known for her frenzied body horror comedy. I mean, I've never heard of an SNL cast member that was there for that. A Northwestern graduate as well. So very happy to have Sarah on the show. Curious what we'll get to see from her. I hope this is a situation where we get to see a lot from Aristotle, James, and Sarah, unlike the cast members from last season. We saw Dismukes a lot towards the second half, but I would like to see some of these people a little bit more as we get going. Let's talk about our third cast member that was hired today, and I will bring up the photo of that person, and that person is James Austin Johnson. So let's bring up a photo of James. James also has a podcast, I believe. So lots of people hiring from a lot of hirings from the podcast world. Hello, SNL. He is a regular in the LA comedy scene. He's been in the movie Hail Caesar. He's been in shows like Tuca and Bertie. During the 2020 election, he went viral for his Trump impressions, which is certainly timely that they would bring him on now. Bill, you're shaking your head. You want to jump in on that?
It's like if they hired Jay Farrow in 2016. That's my take. Like, this is what this guy is known for, and it's hilarious. But it's like, yeah, that's like 2 years ago, man. What are we doing here?
Yeah, it's very, very interesting that is happening. I mean, especially like, look, the two people that we lost from this cast were Mike Pence and the Mrs. Pence. So it was very interesting that now we get another Trump in here. And yeah, so like I said, he's from the What Things Are What Things podcast, a very strong impressionist. So I'm excited to see another impressionist on the cast. Obviously, Beck was a very big impressionist. So that is to me, he is the easiest person to fit into the current cast between Aristotle, James, and Sarah, because I could see a lot of Beck impressions going over to James instead. Amanda, any thoughts on James?
What Bill said. I'm fine. I'm okay. So like I mostly am just like, why? Okay, I would like to see more things other than Trump from this man, but we'll see. Hopefully. Yeah.
Well, we'll give him a chance.
Yeah, I'm not mad about it. I'm more like, okay. Him?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Kaley, anything on James before we move on to the rest of the cast?
Just to follow like the thread of the Trump thing, I if we're going to see Trump at all, which not that we're all asking for that, but I would like to actually see a cast member if we do see him rather than Alec Baldwin. I mean, it was good, it was a great novelty, but it almost like wore out to me after a while. Like, and then too, like all these like in Jim Carrey as Joe Biden, like I feel like we were taking away from or not we, but whoever was making those decisions were taking away from the cast by, having these celebrity plugins. Like it was a novelty. If we do have to see Trump again this season, I hope we do get to see James's version.
Yeah, that is actually such an interesting point, Kaley, which I didn't think of, which was like, I just assumed that if, Alec Baldwin and the Trump impression were done from SNL, like we retired that chapter and like that was finished. And Trump obviously isn't really in the news right now, so there's no reason for it. But I always did think to myself, okay, if there was going to be another reason to have a Trump impression on the show, would Alec ever do it again? And would people want to see Alec do it? And I have to believe that if they were going to do a Trump impression on the show, giving it to a new cast member like James would probably go over better than rehashing what happened between 2016 and 2020, where Alec Baldwin would constantly appear on the show. So in a way, I do wonder if this mitigates future problems that the show could have. So let's, congratulations to the 3 new cast members. So happy to have them on the show. Really exciting stuff, and welcome. Let's talk through other thoughts on the cast. So like, we have 17 other cast members. Amanda, I'll start with you. Any thoughts on any cast members that you want to talk about, what your expectations are for them this season? Is there somebody that stands out to you that you're really looking for to have a big season or maybe step up in a way that they didn't before? What do you think of that?
I think this is going to be the continued ascendance of Ego Nwodim. I think she had such an incredible season last year that it's only going to go up from here. Like, it's like Bowen and Chloe, that goes without saying, but like Ego, I think has only like really found her place and is only going to get better and better over time. I love her very much, and I'm very excited to see that. Always excited to see what Alex Moffat gets into, because he's also like just a weirdo all the time, and I love that. And yeah, mostly that's really what I care about. I mostly care about like and also I hope to see Punky Brewster. That's not her name.
Punky Johnson. Yeah.
Punky Johnson. Thank you. I hope to see Punky Johnson in a lot more things. I hope that's, but I'm always happy to see Chris Redd and things, but I hope Punky gets a little bit more time to shine this year, especially.
Yeah, everybody in the chat, if you're watching along, I would love if you guys can put in the chat which cast members you're most looking forward to seeing this particular season. It definitely varies across the board in the SNL community. There's obviously some stands of longtime cast members, but I would really love to hear who you guys, the really like hardcore SNL fans are really looking forward to seeing once it becomes 11:30 this Saturday. Bill, I'll go over to you. Which cast members do you want to talk about? Is there anyone you're really looking forward to seeing this season?
Amanda stole mine, so Ego. I mean, her MVP season last year was phenomenal, and hopefully we see some more of that this year. But also, I think Chris Redd showed his range last year as well. The happiest I was to see who was coming back was Che and Jost. I thought that I said this in the finale last year when we were talking, that would have been the biggest loss to me. I think Weekend Update is running so well these days, and I really hope that they stick around for 3, 4, 5 more years. So I was very happy to see them, and hopefully the writing continues to be really stellar on Weekend Update.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll just call out some people in the chat. We have Allie in the chat who says she's really excited to see Punky. So Amanda totally agrees with Amanda. Dan says, I think we all want more Melissa. That's an interesting one as well that we could get into. Monette says, Dismukes continuing his momentum from last season. And Homstar as well says, Andrew Dismukes starting to shine and find his place. Kaley, let me go over to you. Who are you excited to see this season?
Well, as we all know, I think we can all see the trajectory, but Bowen Yang is obviously on the rise, and I'm really excited to see what he's going to do. I think he has like a really unique voice that we haven't seen before on SNL. And of course he's been bumped up now, and I'm just excited to see what happens with that. Of course, Ego. Yeah, Andrew Dismukes. I'm curious about him because I really didn't get a good feel for him last year just because of that weird year. So I'd like to see what goes on with him. But the thing I think I'm most curious about is like our long timers like Adie and Kate. And like I have this theory where like all these people who are rumored to leave, I think like most of them stayed because they wanted one more normal-ish year, because they really didn't get like that would be a weird year to leave on. So I'm just curious to see how checked in they're going to be and what we're going to see from our longtime favorites.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point as well, Kaley. I really like that because everyone expected them to go. Everyone expected them to go a couple of seasons ago, and now they're still around. So what are we going to get from them this particular season? We have some other people in the chat. We have John who says, I'm glad Punky's back this year. Hope to see a lot more from her, and certainly more of Bowen actually being a lead in sketches. So that will be exciting. Greg says third season for Bowen and Chloe would be really big. Darren says he's really hoping to see more of Alex Moffat this season. What I'm curious about from Alex Moffat is, are we going to get some Biden this season from Moffat, which we only got once last year, I'm pretty sure. So that will be interesting to see. Darren also says it's going to be weird if they have Sudeikis play Biden instead of him. So that's definitely a thought. And then look, as I'm looking through the cast list, this is what I'm really focused on this particular season. Is at the end of last season, I saw the ascendance of some incredible young players. And that included Ego Nwodem, who I had spoken to about potentially, I had spoken to people about at the end of the season. She could be the female Eddie Murphy. And it's really incredible to see her rise going into, I think it's her 4th season going into right now, to talk about what she could do on the show. I'm really excited about that. I'm also really excited to see what Heidi Gardner is going to do this season. Heidi is somebody who I have found is getting lost in the shuffle way too much. She is, in that weird spot where she is like right behind the veterans who have been there the entire time and right ahead of all these up and coming cast members. And I really feel like last year, maybe this year, it's kind of time for Heidi to start taking over the show a little bit. And I feel like she definitely has the talent to do so. I also loved what we saw from Chloe Fineman. I think when we saw all those Britney cold opens last year, it showed her range. I think that she has incredible potential to be an amazing cast member and just a huge star on the show. Bowen did some incredible things on Weekend Update last season, including that iceberg. So I'm just so excited to see what we're going to get from our younger players. I think those are the storylines to watch as we head towards season 47. We also got news. Did anyone else have anything on the cast before I move on?
The only other thing I'd want to say is I think I think this is the first time that we've seen SNL as a female-driven vehicle. I mean, we've always had these incredible people all the way back to Gilda and Jane, but like the top 5 people you would talk about most of the time from this show are female, and I think that's fantastic. You know, especially when you think about the early '80s when the women were relegated to being the wife that didn't speak in the background, or how Julia Louis-Dreyfus wasn't used, and things like that. I think Ego, Chloe, Heidi, and then of course Kate, Adie, and Cecily. I mean, it's amazing the talent that's on the show, and I think that's great, and hopefully continues going that way.
Yeah, totally. I'm so with you, Bill. I mean, go ahead, Amanda.
Oh yeah, my only note is that Heidi Gardner, as much as like I feel like she's been relegated, I feel like also has this wonderful benefit in terms of her career, where her character has become an archetype, like a Heidi Gardner type, like a big hat, a big wide brimmed hat, a blonde woman being ditzy. That's a Heidi Gardner type that you will see in characters like on television running forever, and that is better than any kind of SNL placement to me. Is like, there's so many characters I see on TV that I know I'm like, that was written for Heidi Gardner. Like, that's just that. And I love her so much. I also think she's deeply underutilized on this show, but I just had to say that.
100%. No, it is amazing point, Amanda, because it's possible that just Heidi and her career trajectory is just meant for non-SNL, whatever, happens after, because there's so many roles that are written for her. I just have always argued the fact that she's so freaking talented, and just that it just so happens that Kate and Adie and Cecily often take roles that we would love to see go to Heidi sometimes. So that's where the problem is.
What I would love to see from Heidi going forward is like the character she played in that Keegan-Michael Key, Michael Jordan sketch, the old man. Like, I want her to lean into the weird and like the maybe where like it's she's playing male or not as feminine or something. But I would love to see more, because that took me totally off guard. I loved that, and I hope we get to see more of the weird from her.
Yeah. I agree. This is what I'll do before we move on from any other cast stuff. Before we're going to talk about some of the hosts and stuff that's coming up. Let me just go through the names of it. Is there anybody else? You don't have to, but if I call out a name and there's somebody that you want to say something about with regards to this person in the cast, same thing with the chat. Let us know. Adie Bryant. Anything we're expecting from Adie this particular season? Anyone got anything on Adie? Okay. Well, looking forward to seeing what she will do if she can continue going. We spoke about Che. Pete Davidson. Pete Davidson's an interesting one that we didn't bring up before. Pete, to me, had his best season in the cast. I think that the SNL community felt that way last season. Anyone have anything they want to say about Pete coming up?
I think Pete is a classic example of what Kaley was saying. I think he would have been gone after last year, but he wanted one more traditional season in the studio to do everything. I think his career has just kind of diverted out of SNL, as much as I love him, and I think he's still going to do great work this year. But I absolutely think that he was ready to get out a while ago.
Okay. Bill?
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, it definitely was his best year by far. And I was kind of surprised, even more so than Cecily. Cecily seemed to be a lot more on the fence, even though she had the big Weekend Update moment in the finale. He seemed like he was gone like that. And, for him to be coming back was kind of a shock. But hopefully he continues doing what he's done in the last year, and is showing up in a lot more sketches as opposed to just being on Weekend Update pieces.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like you guys are saying, I mean, Pete has become a huge star. He's probably the biggest star in the cast at this point, which is pretty, just in terms of like pure, like, I forget what the wording is to describe that, but there is a rating that goes for how popular a celebrity is. You got it, Bill?
Q?
Yes, that's Q. Q, thank you. Yeah, blanking on that one. Yeah, his Q is off the charts right now, so it'll be interesting to see what he does this season. Mikey Day, anything from Mikey that you guys are looking forward to, or just classic Mikey Day sketches? Okay, and then we spoke about Chloe, Heidi, Colin, Kate McKinnon. Kate McKinnon returns. She's probably the one that we thought would be going the most. Everyone was just questioning, when is Kate going to leave? Again, is it same old from Kate? Same thing with Adie and Cecily?
Yeah, for sure. I think she came back just so she can break the record so you can cover it at the end of the season, John.
Is that it? Is that it?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's it.
for
That's the
sure.
only reason.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in our By the Number show, but she's very close to the Live from New York record. Kaley, you were going to say something?
I was just gonna say, like, I love Kate, and of course we know she's like, we all know she's talented and, you know, a star, and she's, you know, had an amazing success on that show. But like, I feel like the last couple of seasons, I don't remember a lot of what she's done, and I hope that she gets that fire back in her. I feel like a jerk saying that, but yeah, I'm curious. I don't, who knows what's going on, but I hope we get to see more of that Kate McKinnon, classic Kate McKinnon that we love.
Yeah, for sure. And we spoke about Moffat a little bit. We'll be, you know, everyone is hoping for more from Alex Moffat for sure. Kyle Mooney. Kyle is very interesting. Kyle is the one that people definitely thought were going to be, you know, going between Beck and Kyle. I don't know what he will be doing this season. He's definitely an enigma for me with regards to this cast. Where does he fit in? Does he find a new Beck Bennett in one of the new cast members that comes in? So that will be a fun thing to watch. We spoke about Ego. There's also Chris Redd. Chris will be, to me, has been, you know, really on the rise as well. It'd be great to see what he can do this season. Cecily. This was a very weird choice for me for Cecily to come back. I know there was a lot of rumors that she was on the fence for a while, but we obviously had that goodbye sketch, as we were calling it, at the end of the season. In context, knowing that she comes back, does that take away from the her being in the box of wine at the end of 46? That's something we're for sure going to talk about as we move forward. Bill?
I don't think she can ever do Judge Janine again, right? I mean,
yeah,
you can't come back from that.
Yeah, for sure. Keenan continues to, you know, smash through records. He's been the most sketches in the history of the show. He's on the most seasons in the history of the show. So he's going to continue. He will be on the show forever. So never expect him to leave. Melissa, we spoke about, want to see more from Melissa. Bowen, very excited about that. Dismukes and Punky. And then obviously our 3 new players. So excited to talk about this cast as we move forward, who's doing well and who is not. And that all kicks off in just a few days. We also got some hosts and musical guests coming up. So we start everything off with Owen Wilson with musical guest Casey Musgraves. We have Kim Kardashian West and Halsey. We have Rami Malek with Young Thug. And then we have Jason Sudeikis with Brandi Carlile. So those are our first 4 episodes of the season coming up. So Amanda, we haven't gotten your thoughts on what, you know, the first month of the show is going to look like. Any, you know, overall thoughts as you look forward to this first month of the show?
I'm glad that Lauren is taking risks. I know Kim Kardashian is a hot take. I get it. People are upset about it. I'm glad to see like a risk being taken yet again. Like finally, it's just very interesting. I'm not mad about it. You know, I'm not a Kardashian stan. I'm just really glad to see something very different, you know. I mean, I'm happy Jason Sudeikis, the original hot daddy, is back. I'm so happy to see him. I love Ted Lasso. I have a lot of feelings about Ted Lasso. You can slide in my DMs if you ever want to talk about Ted Lasso, and I will send you videos of me just crying. And I think in general, it's a good controversial first month, and that's what Lauren wants. Lauren just wants to get the people going, and he did a good job, and people are talking about it. Yeah. And so, yeah, there's that. And also good for Owen Wilson getting the season opener. Like, wow, congratulations. Good for you.
Yeah. Okay. Kaley, over to you. What are your thoughts on the first month of the season, these announcements that we got last week?
Yeah, I mean, it was all surprising. Obviously, I think we all were kind of like, Kim Kardashian, you know, but we'll see. You know, I don't know. Has she hosted before? She hasn't hosted before.
No, so no Kardashian has actually ever appeared on the show.
That's
before.
what I thought. So
yeah.
It'll be interesting. I've seen her acting somewhat, and so we'll see. But yeah, I'm excited for Owen Wilson. Who was the third week?
So Rami Malek was the third
Rami
one.
Malek. Yeah. I bet that will be good. And I'm excited, and we'll just see how it goes.
Okay, Bill, over to you. What do you think about the first month of the season?
Oh, so many thoughts. You know,
No, let's do this. Let's air them out.
I mean, look, I'll give you a sports analogy, John. Like to me, when I go to a baseball game, I want to see the star starting pitcher. I don't want to see the fifth guy in the rotation pitching. But as much as I may complain when I get there, and if it's not, Clayton Kershaw or Max Scherzer, I'm still enjoying the game. So I'm not
Such a
happy
Dodgers
about
fan.
it. Right? Come on, man. Kim Kardashian. Why? I understand it's clicks and it's likes and it's ratings grabs and it's bringing in people who wouldn't watch the show normally. I'm not as mad about it as I was about Elon, but I don't get it. This is a comedy show. Why are we doing this? I didn't like it when Steve Forbes was on. I didn't like it when, countless other people they've done throughout the years. But that being said, I'm excited about Owen. I think it's, the only problem I have with Owen hosting is that we're kind of getting away from the tradition of, the season premiere and the season finale being an SNLer, whether that's a longtime host or an alumni, or we talked about this on the Superfan a couple of months ago. It's somebody who had a huge movie or a huge summer. Loki, like that's it, like that's all you got for me. Like you have to go back to, I was looking through today, Rob Lowe in season 26 premiere. That would be the last time somebody who wasn't red hot or an alumni came back and hosted the show for the premiere. So it's a little weird to me, but I think he'll be great. I love all his movies. So, and then of course Sudeikis. I mean, that's just huge. We were bantering for this all year last year, and there's so many different ways they can go with that, bringing back all his old characters and all the cameos we may get with Kristen and Forte and Hader, and we better get Pete Twinkle. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, but the one thing, I know we're going to do predictions in a little bit, but we may get 2 Nasim Pedrad cameos. Kim Kardashian episode, doing her impersonation, and coming back for the Underground Rock Festival, the Kickspit Underground Rock as Little Blaster.
Oh, that is not happening. There's no chance that's happening.
Come on.
Yeah, there's no chance whatsoever. but I love where you're going with that. Yeah. This for me, okay, so let's talk about, we can go over all the individual, cast members, musical guests, but we've been talking about this for a few days, so I don't want to necessarily go into too much detail about everyone because we're going to be covering this for the next month in lots of detail. But what I will say is that these 4 hosts and musical guests are some big names. And the difference between this and what we were seeing in 46, even though we got some really good episodes, there was a lot of like, who is that? And okay, we got the star of a lead, we got the lead of a Netflix show to come in, and a lot of people didn't know who they were or what else they were from. And it was interesting because a lot of the questions we were having in the SNL community last year was, is SNL having trouble potentially booking hosts because of COVID? And, do hosts not want to travel to New York and spend the time with all these people? Perhaps when they're shooting other things, for them to go and work SNL because of the COVID restrictions means that they're going to have to quarantine, and it's going to completely mess up their schedules. We had a lot of British hosts that were coming in. So it was like a little bit of a different style of booking. And what we're seeing in season 47, I mean, Owen Wilson has been a big name for 20 years. I mean, like I said on, a few days ago, Owen Wilson could have been hosting, was asked to host before. I mean, this is an episode from 2005. Kim Kardashian is one of the biggest names in the entire world. I mean, this is a really, really big get for SNL. So I totally get where you're coming from, Bill. To me, this is a no-brainer to see what she can do on the show. Rami Malek is a really big star. I mean, this is a big question mark for a lot of people to see how he's going to do on SNL, but Rami Malek is a huge star. And Jason Sudeikis is probably on the most talked about show of 2021. So I think these are huge names for SNL to get. So for me, this makes me very excited for what we are going to see in season 47, because I almost feel like SNL has taken off the shackles of what they were able to do in 46, and really they can book anybody at this point. So that's where I'm coming from as we start to look at themes for 47 is, this is post-COVID in terms of their operations in a way. Does anybody else agree or disagree?
Completely agree. Yeah, we talked about the Brits so much last year, And I think that'll loosen up with all the cameos too. I mean, even when we talked about the Dan Levy episode, like having Eugene in this plastic bubble, that was the closest we got to having a cameo. I think that'll be a nice thing of going back to pre-COVID. And it's interesting with Rami that he's promoting the same movie that the last pre-COVID episode of SNL was promoting when Daniel Craig hosted back in March of 2020. Here we are 19 months later, and it's the same damn movie. It's finally coming out. But that's pretty interesting that I don't think that's probably ever happened in the history of the show.
Yeah. Amanda, any 2 cents here on SNL loosening the shackles on potential hosts that they can bring in, potential guests? Does that excite you as we move into season 47?
I'm excited about it. I hope we never get an Elon Musk level situation ever again. But other than that, yeah, bring in all the people. I am ready to see like Megan Thee Stallion host SNL. Okay. Like I'm prepared to see Lizzo host SNL. Let's talk about it. Let's have this conversation. Okay. I'm ready. Like bring back RuPaul. Let's do that. Let's do these things. Like I'm here for an unconventional decision, weird SNL season for sure.
Yeah, I just think they're going to go for really big names. And I think that people are not going to expect some of the names that we're going to get. And I think that as we get announcements throughout the season, I'm expecting there's always a couple, 2 or 3 episodes that are a little who is that. But I really think season 47, they're going to go out for all the stops and they're going to try and bring in lots and lots of people. I think we're probably, I'll say this for the predictions actually, but I think we're going to get some big names that have come in the last few seasons that they're going to want to make sure to bring back as friends of the show. Anyone else have anything on these 4 announcements before we move on? Okay, so let's talk about overall themes for season 47. What we want to mark down that season 47 is going to represent. Last year, when we started at season 46, I asked Bill Kenney, I said to him, what is season 46 going to be in the history of the show? So, we look back and, we go through every single season and there's something that was happening in the world at the time. There was, different things. And last year was the COVID season. I know that season 45 ended with those 3 at-home episodes, but we talked about season 46 is really how is SNL going to operate in the midst of COVID, given all the restrictions between the cast and booking guests. What is season 47 going to represent? Let's make our predictions about how the world is going to see season 47 moving forward. Kaley, do you have anything that you would like to predict as to what season 47, what the theme of the show will be for this year?
I don't know what I would like. I hope it just continues to push the envelope. I feel like it's also weird because, last year was an election year and so much of like the jokes and coverage and sketches of that. And of course, Weekend Update was always great. Talking about everything election related. So now that like that dust has settled, I'm really curious as to how they're going to go ahead. I don't know what I want it to be. Maybe riskier. I would love to see like a riskier season, and maybe with Sarah added to the cast, we might get to see a little bit of that.
Yeah, that could be a really good one, Kaley, because it could be that season 46 maybe at times certainly played things safe. And is it possible that season 47 represents the show turning into a little bit of a riskier show? So I think that could be the start of what we get to see as we head towards season 50. Amanda, I'll go to you. Tell me what you're thinking. What will season 47 be for the SNL community?
I think it will be cathartic in a way, and I don't know why. I think it will be like a return. I hope a return to form, but mostly like a return to just like some level of normalcy. I think there will be a lot more risk taking this season. I think that the additions they've made in the cast and the promotions that they've made have really kind of solidified that the show is leaning in a weirder direction. They are not going to be afraid to like do bizarre things. They're not really going to like worry about making things palatable for the everyday American consumption, which is very interesting to watch in a show like Saturday Night Live, a tentpole. But I think over the past year, everyone got weirder just because the world got weirder. So we had to adjust our sense of humor to go along with that. And so I think in general, I'm just hopeful. I'm hopeful that this season allows the people, I mean, the 20 plus people in this cast, everyone gets their time to shine. But sorry, I'm very tentative. That's what I'm saying.
It's all good. Bill, so over to you. What do you think that the theme of season 47 is? You're always pretty good at this, so give us the prediction.
Well, we talked so much last year about how season 46 was this time capsule season. You know, we were going to be able to look back on this and go, oh, yep, that's the year everybody was in their houses. That's the year that, you know, democracy almost disappeared. That's the, you know, so there's these themes that, you know, kind of encapsulate, and that doesn't come around very much. I mean, you know, the 9/11 season, that was another season that was like that, where you didn't know where the humor was going to go. And it was very tentative. You couldn't be too sarcastic, and you couldn't make jokes about, you know, politics, and you couldn't. And what I'd love to see, and I think we started to see it the second half of season 46, is back to the slice of life. You know, the sketches that, you know, sitting around on the couches and you know, and the jokes that come from that. And this is what the show was made on in the 70s and the 80s and the early 90s. Like, you know, and letting these 21 cast members do their thing and shine in their own way, and they don't have to be in Giuliani makeup, and they don't have to be in Trump makeup, and let them just be themselves and show their craziness and their funniness. And I mean, that's all you can really hope for this season.
I swear, Bill, that's why I love being on these things with you, because I literally wrote down on my paper, I was like, season 47 to me is the return of the slice of life sketches. That's what SNL will be in season 47 to me, because like Amanda said, in season 46, there was just like everybody was talking about one particular thing, be it the election, be it COVID, different things were happening in the news. And I'm not going to say that that's not going to happen this season. I think we're going to get big news stories that are obviously going to influence the show. But in certain seasons in the history of the show, when those things happen, they're generally relegated to the cold open and weekend update and maybe one sketch. But I think we're going to get a lot of slice of life. And for those who don't know what that means, that's really just taking everyday situations and, you know, funny things that would happen and creating scenarios out of regular life, as opposed to taking current events and using them to create certain sketches. And I don't mind those things every now and then. I think I was very high on the Reggae Jean episode last season. I know not everybody was, but the Reggae Jean episode last year was very much like, let's take all the modern pop culture jokes and make sketches out of them. And I'm okay with that every now and then. I just don't think that's what season 47 will be about. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing. Anyone else got anything on this? Okay.
The only other thing I'll say is, you know, almost exactly a year ago, we were talking about whether they were going to even be able to put on a show. And I don't think we have to worry about that now. And that's kind of going to let the air breathe in the room a little bit better, as far as, you know, making a good show. Like we didn't know if it was going to get canceled on a Thursday because 6 people had tested positive. So that's going to put some more funny into the show as well.
Yeah, definitely. And certainly, I mean, if somebody, you know, like COVID is obviously still out there. If somebody does test positive this season, you know, we did find out there were certain members of the crew that did last season. I'm interested to see if SNL, if we're going to find out about that stuff as that happens, or it's going to be a long time down the road. We find out so-and-so got tested positive during season 47. Hopefully nobody doesn't, but it'll be interesting to find out as we move forward.
I hope that it's like on The View. I don't know if you saw on The View on Friday.
Yeah,
they found out like they found out mid-show they had COVID. That was amazing. I hope that happens. Like they fully get like a big cane and like yank someone off the stage. That's fingers crossed. That would be prime comedy.
The chances that SNL does a sketch about that this week are pretty damn good, I think. Even bringing Keenan in as Whoopi, even though she's not on the show anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That would be actually, I would really look forward to that. Do you guys want to make some predictions for season 47? We'll play a fun game. This is what we do on our preseason preview show. We did the same thing last season. So we're going to make some predictions for season 47, and chat, I want you guys to play along. So you guys are listening live on YouTube. I want you to tell us your opinions. So the first prediction that we are going to do is who will appear in the most sketches this season among all of the cast members. So let me read out our top 10 from last season. Okay, so I'll read out the top 10. Number 1 was Beck Bennett last season. So he's no longer on the show. So this leaves an opening for somebody to end up being there. Number 2 was Keenan. 3 was Kate. 4 was Ego. 5 was Mikey. 6 was Heidi. 7, tied for 7, was Pete and Chris. 9 was Alex. And 10 was Kyle. So I want to know, in 2021-2022 season, who is going to lead season 47 in sketches? Kaley, do you have somebody for us?
I think that it'll be Ego, just because I think everyone's so excited about her, and I know that she's very beloved there, and she's writing a lot of her own stuff that's getting on. So I think it could be her, maybe.
Okay, that's a great pick. That's really interesting. Ego, like we said last year, was 4th in sketches. The year before, season 45, Ego was 11th. So she's been on a pretty big rise. So she was 14th in her first season, 11th in her second season, and then 4th in her third season. So if you were like a betting person, you see the trajectory rising from Ego. Bill, what do you think? Who's going to lead SNL in sketches this season?
I'm going to go with the theory that Kate and Keenan and some of the elders will not be there every week. And I'm going to play favorites and go with my girl Heidi.
Heidi. Interesting. Yep. So Heidi was 6th in sketches last season. 2 years ago, Heidi was in 7th. Okay, so she has been around there. And 3 years ago, she was in 7th as well. So she's been about 7, 7, 6 for the last few years. You think she's going to make a jump all the way up to 1st? That would be very exciting for me. I'd really love to see Heidi in a ton of more sketches. Amanda, who do you think is going to lead SNL in sketches this season?
I also think it's going to be Ego. I also think Mikey Day might come up.
You got to give me one.
Out of nowhere.
You got to give me one.
Oh, Ego. Then she gets my vote. There we go.
Okay. So we got 2 Egos. We got 1 Heidi. This is tough. Is Keenan a cop-out answer, or is that is a cop-out answer? I have to give someone unconventional. Okay. I think the person that is going to lead SNL in sketches in season 47 is going to be Mikey Day. I think it's going to be Mikey. I think with the loss of Beck Bennett, I think they're going to put Mikey into a lot of those roles, and he's just going to continue to be relied upon. So I think I will pick Mikey Day as the leader in the clubhouse for sketches for season 47. Okay. Guys, also, I'll say in the chat, we have Ali who says Kate. We have Homstar who says, I think Mikey or Kate. John says, my gut says it's going to be Kate. Business as usual over there. So let us know if you have any more picks for most sketches. Let's talk about the most times said live from New York this season. So who's going to say live from New York the most this particular season? Amanda, do you want to go first on this one? No, you don't? Okay, fine. Over to Bill.
I'm sticking with what I said earlier. I think Kate is sticking around just to prove you right, John. She is going to get to number 1 this year.
Okay. All right. Kaley, what about you?
Well, I'm thinking about the cold opens, and if I had to pick, now that Beck's gone, I probably would say Kate as well, because when I think of her, I think of cold opens often. So I think it could likely be her.
Okay. Amanda?
I'm going to say it's Alex Moffat.
Okay.
I think
Can you elaborate on that? Why do you think that?
I think because of just cold opens, presidential stuff, Biden-y things. That's why. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah.
One of our friends, Monette, in the chat says Chloe Feynman potentially, and I actually think it could be Chloe. I am going to throw that out there. It's like that's a little bit of a hot take and unconventional pick, but I was thinking the same thing, Monette, because I think she just did such a fantastic job with that Britney stuff going last year, and I think we're going to see that a few times. I think there's high potential that we end up seeing Chloe in could be almost every cold open this season. I would love to see something like that. So that will be an interesting pick. We'll have to ask our stats guru, Mike Murray, about who has appeared in the most cold opens last season in terms of all the sketches. We can talk about that in a couple of days on our By the Numbers show as well. We did talk about earlier, we talked about the cold open stuff, but I want to know which cast member will appear in 10-1 sketches the most. So that is our last sketch of the evening. So I want you to think about this. This is a cast member who maybe doesn't appear in a lot of things throughout the night, but then we get to see them right at the end of the show, right at 12:55 every single week. Amanda, do you have somebody for me? I'm going to make you go first this time.
It's Sarah. It's gonna be Sarah's. That's gonna be Sarah's like sweet spot. It's just gonna be like ending us on just like that weird, oh, like when you go to go get like sesame ice cream, like that, just like slightly weird level of just like it's good, but I cannot understand if this is a fever dream that I made up because it's the middle of the night, or if that's an actual thing that aired on television in the middle of the night. And I think that's going to be her. I'm excited to see. I'll stay up for her.
Okay, Kaley, what do you think?
Maybe Andrew Dismukes. I don't know why. That's just who I just I feel that. I don't know. Was that true of him a lot last year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he does in a grocery wrap. That's one that I could certainly think of that appeared at the end of the episode. That was a really good one for him. I really liked. Oh, there was also he did a lot of really good pre-tapes, and I think sometimes pre-tapes do get relegated for the end of the episode, especially for time. So I do think that as far as pre-tapes are concerned, I'm really curious to see what we're going to see from Andrew this season. So I do like that pick. Bill, what about you?
I'm going to make it 2 out of 3 and say Sarah. Yeah, I mean, my only caveat would be that, a lot of times those end up being the cut for time, not only relegated to the end of the show, but that they get put up on YouTube the next day. But I'm going to go with Sarah. Is going to get the most 10-to-1s.
Yeah, I see this name in the chat a lot, and I'm going to go with Kyle Mooney. I think that what I'm curious about is that without Beck Bennett, is Kyle Mooney going to disappear even more from the show, or is he going to actually be motivated even more to write interesting things for himself and produce interesting material? Because his best friend, or somebody who worked very close with on the show, is no longer there. And I wonder if this is potentially a little bit of a kick in the ass for Kyle to get going with some more creative stuff. And will we see some of those things at the end of the show, especially with somebody like a Sarah who can certainly do all those things? The combination of Kyle and Sarah together could be really, really fun for those 10-to-1s. So that is something I am looking forward to seeing this season. There's one other element of the show I want to ask you guys about, and that is which cast member will appear on Weekend Update the most this season. And that can't be Jost or Che, obviously. We're going to look for a cast member that will appear there as a guest. We lost Beck, who was doing a lot of stuff on Update. We had Jules. We had lots of things last season. I keep thinking of the one where he was like the horse racer at the end of last season. He's a great Update person to come on there, but someone needs to fill that void. Bill, who are you thinking is going to do that?
I think we're going to see more of Heidi. She's known for her Weekend Update characters. It's pretty much the only place we get recurring characters these days. So I think she'll bring out some of our favorite classics and maybe a couple of new characters as well.
Okay. Amanda, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that if Cecily Strong is going to be off doing other things, which I'm assuming she might be, it's probably going to be Heidi's time for Weekend Update to be her moment. It's always been her moment, but especially there, it's going to be great. Yeah.
Okay. Kaley, over to you.
I definitely think that Bowen we're going to see a lot of on Weekend Update. That Titanic iceberg thing was just so iconic and people just went nuts for that. And I feel like we're going to see like similar characters as opposed and in addition to like maybe more normal, like human characters at least. He's got a great energy for Update, his frustration and everything plays really well for that format. So I think we'll definitely see a lot of him on Update this year.
Yeah. So that is for sure. I'm really excited to see what we're going to get from Bowen this season on Update. I'm going to go with something that seems obvious, but I'm actually going to say Kate McKinnon. And I think that this is where Kate is headed towards this season. I think Kate is going to be relegated to the Update desk plenty this season. And I think that it's just because, she is nearing the, what we would assume is the twilight of her SNL career. And I think she's done everything she could possibly do with sketches and characters and sketches. And we're going to see some of those this season. But I think as far as like creativity is concerned, I think we're going to see a lot of stuff from Kate on Update this season. That's just my prediction. I think she's very easy to write for the Weekend Update desk. And I think that maybe perhaps we'll see what happens with Cecily on there and some of the new people. But I would love to see what we're going to get from Kate on Weekend Update in season 47. Okay, that's it for cast predictions. Now I'm going to ask you to give me a host, and it can't be one of the 4 that we just got already. Give me a host that is going to host in season 47. We're going to mark it down. This is going to be somebody who's going to be announced as a host sometime this season. Bill, do you have anybody for us that you think will be hosting the show?
I'm going to swing for the fences, John. I think because of their continuing popularity and having one of the hottest shows on Hulu right now, that we're going to see for the first time since 1986, Martin Short and Steve Martin host together. Their show Only Murders in the Building is killing it on Hulu, and they have their live shows that they do as well. Maybe we'll even get Chevy to come out and do the Three Amigos with them. I doubt it, but I'm going Martin and Steve co-hosting together at some point, maybe the Christmas show.
Okay, that would be really exciting to cover. Kaley, do you have somebody that you would like to see host the show this season? Or not even who you like to see. Who do you predict will host the show in season 47?
Well, this is, I think it's possible, but it probably does lean more into who I would like to see. I think maybe someone from the cast of the Hulu show Reservation Dogs, which is the Indigenous comedy that's been really successful this past year, and it just got renewed for season 2. Not sure when that's going to come out, but being Indigenous myself, I hope we get to see that. I think that'd be really cool. And those kids, they're getting, like, they were in Vogue recently, and I think they're just really on the rise. So, and too, like, with SNL trying to at least appear more diverse, maybe we'll get to see that. I hope so.
Okay, that's really cool. That would be really exciting to see. Amanda, do you have somebody for us that you predict will host in season 47?
Baby, I have a list. I have a list.
Give it to me.
We're going to get Denzel Washington is coming for the Macbeth movie that's coming out. What else? What else did I think of? Somebody from the new Sopranos movie, maybe a John Bernthal, maybe a Corey Stoll. Who else? Joaquin Phoenix for sure, because he has a movie coming out. I see Haim coming back as a musical guest because Alana Haim is in the new.
Give me host.
And then finally, this is my hottest take because people do not believe me, but this fact is true. Rita Moreno, EGOT herself, Rita Moreno will come out in production for West Side Story, which is coming out around Christmas. I think that will be our Christmas episode. Will be Rita Moreno finally getting to host SNL for the first time.
Okay.
And yes, even after her racist controversy this year, I think they're still going to call her. Yeah, I do.
All right, good thing I didn't ask you for one. So thank you for telling me all of those. That's really great. I'm going to come at this from a different angle. I think that they are going to go for probably the most popular name in the world right now. I don't know if anybody knows who I'm going to say, but I think they're going to put Addison Rae as a host of the show this season. She is huge, obviously coming from the TikTok world. I know she had a little bit of a controversy with Jimmy Fallon last year where they did a bunch of TikTok dances and didn't credit the people who created those TikTok dances when they did that segment. But they ended up doing that later on and crediting them in the end. But she's so popular. I know she was just in the new Netflix. I think it's He's All That. It was on Netflix, and which was like an incredibly popular show. I wouldn't be stunned if we saw her in the Kim Kardashian West episode. I know she has a pretty good relationship with the Kardashians, and that would be like one of those things potentially where we get a guest on the show and then have her host. And yes, I do just want to watch the world burn, as Monette says in the comments, because I really think that is what SNL is going to do. These are predictions, guys. So this is what I predict is going to happen. We also have some other people in the chat who said that they are hoping to see Tom Holland host, who is Spider-Man. Would be very exciting to see Tom Holland, someone from the MCU, come in. Zendaya would be a great host of the show. Kristen Stewart, I see in the chat. Bill Hader. I mean, that's one of those things that Bill Kenney. I mean, I remember thinking last season, are we going to get former cast members host the show as an easy way for them to get, guests to come on in? And we did end up getting Kristen Wiig Ludwig and Maya Rudolph, but I do wonder if, because it's been a while, if we're going to get a lot of cast members come in and host this season.
I think so. I think that was one of the biggest shocks of last year, that we didn't have that, where you didn't have Tina Fey on the bat phone and have her come in, just because you knew they could come in if there was, somebody had to drop out at the last second, or you needed just somebody who knew how to do this comedy and in very adverse conditions. So yeah, I think we'll see a lot of that this year, but that's always my hope. I have a list about 10 pages long of all the former SNLers that I'd love to see host. So
yeah, for sure. Forte. There's also in the chat, our friend Darren says Gene Smart and Catherine Hahn would be fantastic. Spencer says Team Madison Ray, thank you for that. Nicole also says Florence Pugh as well, which I know who was rumored to host the premiere. So lots of interesting names. I know this kind of does go hand in hand, but I'm going to say give me somebody who will be a guest this season, and this will open up the range of possibilities. So somebody who will be a guest, maybe somebody that they can't guest to host, but somebody that will make a cameo this season. It doesn't have to be an actor or actress. It could be from the world of music or the world of politics, somebody who will walk onto the show this season. I love these, kind of predictions because they're totally wild card and mean absolutely nothing. But chat, I want to see this as well. Open up your imaginations. Give me someone random that you think will walk onto the SNL stage this particular season. Does anybody have anyone?
I'd love to see Danny DeVito show up. He hasn't been on since Charlie Day hosted back in, I don't even remember what year now, but he hosted back in the day a million times. It'd be loved. I don't know what the situation would be that he would just randomly pop up, but that would be pretty cool to see, especially since he's still relevant as well with It's Always Sunny. So.
Okay. Kaley, do you have anybody that you can think of that you would just, make an appearance on SNL this season?
Rhea Perlman would join.
Okay.
No, I don't know. I think it most depends on the host. And if I had a better idea of who was, maybe Rami Malek's twin brother, that would be cool.
Okay. All right. Amanda, have you thought of somebody that you think, give me you can use anybody that you know in the celebrity world. Who do you think will be appearing on SNL this season?
I have no idea. Like my brain is fully tackling so many other things. Maybe Brett Goldstein because of Ted Lasso and everyone's obsessed with Roy Kent. I would think that might be a thing.
That's a great one.
Other than that, that's pretty much the only one. And I'm biased because I would scream, but that's different. Yeah.
For sure. I'm gonna say the vice president of the United States will make an appearance on Saturday Night Live this season. Kamala will be there at some point. That will be like my random thing. I don't think we're gonna get Biden. It's it would be extremely rare to get. It's happened very rarely in the show's history to get an appearance or a pre-recorded stuff from the president of the United States. But I think there is a possibility we can get Kamala on the show. I think that would be a very funny cameo to get at some point during the season. Okay, last prediction, and then we're gonna wrap things up. Tell me we don't do too much music on here, but give me one musical guest, someone in the music world that you would love to see on the show this season. Amanda, I'll start with you because I know you were starting on somebody earlier, so tell us who that is.
Haim is coming on. Also, Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak, Silk Sonic. That's a whole thing. But yeah, Haim is definitely going to come on in promotion of the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie. That's my main thing. Yeah, and also probably Selena Gomez going off of if they're going to do the whole Martin Short, Steve Martin thing. I fully see that them bringing in Selena Gomez if she has new music out to bring like a whole trifecta thing there. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be epic. That would be really, really cool. Bill, any musicians that you predict will be on the show this season?
I'm going to go really weird on you here. They just reunited after 40 years, and they have one of the most famous musical stints in SNL history. I think ABBA's going to show up, and they're going to say, They're going to say that their tapes finally arrived from Sweden. And if you don't get that, go watch season 1, episode 5, and you'll know what I'm talking about. But if that happens, I mean, you have to start a whole new podcast with me predicting things in the future. But yes,
that is so weird. And that is, I think, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong. I think what happened was that they had a musical performance that ended up being pre-recorded because it was supposed to be like the stage was sinking underwater during their performance or something like that.
Well, there was 2. Lauren threw a hissy fit because he did not want these pop stars on his show. So they put them in this sketch with Robert Klein where they were singing on the Titanic and Robert Klein mugged throughout the whole thing. Their second song, they came out and did Waterloo. And at the bottom of the screen, as they used to love to do back then, they put there's ABBA's right now lip syncing because their tracks haven't arrived from Sweden. So
yes. Okay.
That's a deep cut. Sorry.
So many ABBA jokes running through my head. Kaley, before I start getting really cheesy with the ABBA stuff, over to you for a musician.
Well, that would be amazing, first off. But I think Kanye, we can maybe see.
Okay. Well, why do you? Well, so we were getting Kim Kardashian West. Do you think we might get a Kanye appearance at some point because of that?
Maybe. I feel like that would. I mean, think about how many viewers that would get, and to like with just his, increasing notoriety throughout the last couple of years. Like, I feel like if they're going for this thing with the big names, I think that would draw a lot of viewers.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I mean, I'll just call some people in chat. We have some long shot is Big Time Rush. People said, John over here said, I got confused when I saw Brandy Carlisle thinking it was Belinda Carlisle. So maybe we'll get some Go-Go's on the show as well. Kelly Clarkson could pop in. A lot of Silk Sonic, Lil Nas X, Jack Harlow. So it could be fun to see some of those people. I saw that somebody was working on a new album, and that guy is Justin Timberlake, and he is my all-time favorite host in the history of the show. I would love to see Justin Timberlake return for the first time since the 40th anniversary. So that would be huge for me. So I would be very excited to talk about that particular thing. And that would be my prediction that sometime in the spring, we may get a Justin Timberlake appearance on Saturday Night Live. I also see some Drake in the chat as well. Okay, guys, so those are our predictions for season 47. I'm so excited for this show. I mean, like, that's what the whole point of the preseason roundtable was, to get everybody hyped and excited for what we are going to see this season. Amanda, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people reach out to you to be able to connect with you and just give us like final thoughts as we head towards the season?
Thank you for having me. As always, I'm always happy to be here and talk about this wonderful show that's older than a lot of people in this chat. I love that. It's an old show, but we love it. I'm happy to be back and happy to be talking about it. If you want to follow me on Instagram or on Twitter, I'm at Loch Ness Manda, like the scary Scottish monster. You can also go listen to my podcast, America's Next Top Best Friend. It's wherever you listen to podcasts. And we talk about America's Next Top Model. We are in the middle of Australia's Next Top Model. And here's to 47 more seasons of SNL. Yay!
Yes, very excited. Yes. Cheers. Bill, over to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I can't wait to hear all of your thoughts throughout the season. I'm so excited. We are back. Where can people reach out to you?
We're back, baby. Yeah, you can reach me at Instagram or Twitter at BKLove73. Just so excited for this weekend and getting started with season 47 and all the great things that it's going to bring to us. So let's get going.
Yes, for sure. Kaley, great job on your first podcast with us. It's so much fun to get to hear from you, to get to hear your perspective on everything. And it's really cool just to hear everything from you being in a program that was heading towards SNL, as well as everything about your background and where you come from. It's just wonderful to get to hear from you, Kaley. So thank you so much for joining us. And where can people reach out to you?
Well, thank you. I had a blast. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter. I'm more active on Instagram at Kaley Morrison, and I think you guys can see my name there. But yeah, and also I host a podcast with my sister called Twindigenous, where we talk about both Indigenous culture and pop culture. So if you're into either of those things or both, find us Twindigenous, where you can find most podcasts. Not everywhere, but most places.
Okay. Yeah, looking forward to checking that out for sure. If you guys want to follow me, I'm just so excited for the season. I'm going to be talking about it all for the next, several months as we get through season 47. You can follow me personally at Jon Schneider 24 as we're trying to build this SNL network brick by brick. You can follow us at the SNL Network on Twitter or Instagram. Please subscribe if you're watching along. We would always appreciate you subscribing to us on YouTube or on any podcatcher to make sure you never miss a show. If you do subscribe, you get notified when we go live. So that's always really fun because we're going to do a lot more live content this season. If you are listening on any podcatcher and you feel like leaving us a review, especially on Apple Podcasts, that helps people find the show. So I really appreciate that as well. It's so great to get to interact with all of you guys. As for our upcoming schedule, like I said, we have a couple more shows that are coming out later this week. We have our By the Numbers show, which will be coming out on Thursday. That will be with our stats guru, Mike Murray, and Nicole Rovine will be joining us as well. We're going to talk about all the records and stats for season 47. Then right after the show airs on Saturday night, join us about 1:10 in the morning right here on YouTube at the same place. And we're going to be breaking all down with the hottest takes, everybody on the panel will be telling us what worked and what didn't work in the first episode of season 47. Like I said at the beginning, I mentioned we have just launched our patron program. I'm really excited about everything we're doing there. So if you love what we're doing, I appreciate the support, and you will get lots of really fun benefits, including joining us on podcasts in the future, speaking to alumni, getting to speak to some of these fantastic people who are in our patron Facebook group as we move forward. I just want to thank everybody for joining us this Monday night to break down everything from season 47. And we will be back in just a few days to talk through it all over again. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.